This is probably going to be my favorite webinar that I have ever put on. It is about sight reading. And we have some very, very exciting announcements today. So if you've tried Piano Marvel in the past or the SASR, Standard Assessment of Sight Reading, we're going to be making some really important announcements about that as well. Also giving some tips to improve your students' sight reading. All right, let's go ahead and begin. First, I was looking back. Years ago, we made this video about the SASR, and I was just wanting to play it for you, kind of reminisce.
Tens of thousands of college students are currently enrolled in class piano in order to prepare for their musical journey after college. John wants to be a concert pianist. Julie plans to teach high school band, and Mark is a chemistry major who loves music and wants to play piano for his friends and family. All three of these students have one thing in common. They don't know it yet, but in the real world, if they don't improve their ability to read music at the piano, they will be run over by a harsh reality. You see, Julie's current sight reading score is a 411. Unaware that her future teaching job will also require her to accompany the choir, Julie will need to be able to read at a 600 or higher. John is working towards a master's degree in piano performance. He doesn't realize that if he is not reading at a minimum of 900, he will likely be turned away for the graduate program of his choice. Mark is already beginning to realize that he is not learning to read well enough to play his favorite songs. If Julie, John, and Mark could just improve their sight reading SASR score.
Wait a minute, what's a SASR score?
The SASR is the Standard Assessment of Sight Reading. Here's how it works. First, students start a computerized sight reading test that includes thousands of diverse sight reading exercises. As students play the music on screen, the SASR determines how accurately the student has played notes and rhythms. The test intelligently finds exercises that are near the student's reading ability and uses various score results to generate the student's SASR score. Students have 20 seconds to preview each exercise before testing. After playing an exercise, students will see an assessment of their performance. The test concludes after the student scores below 80% for the third time. So why do you need the SASR in your program? The SASR is already being used in universities and piano studios around the world. You see, giving sight reading assessments is difficult and time-consuming, and there has never been a clear way to give an accurate and non-subjective sight reading test before. The SASR eliminates these problems and uses little to none of your valuable class time once it's set up. It also shows students and teachers their sight reading progress over time, helping them to set goals and benchmarks. Perhaps most importantly, however, is that the SASR is also an amazing sight reading practice tool in disguise. Students who take the SASR more than once per week have shown tremendous improvement in their sight reading ability in as little as 28 days. There's no limit to how much time students can spend practicing music in the SASR, giving them an amazing resource of sight reading practice material. Months later, Julie, John, and Mark are now regularly taking the SASR and can see how far their progress has come and how far away they are from their sight reading goals. Their teachers are relieved to know that they can easily find out how each student is progressing in their reading and quickly identify problems. Even though none of these students know exactly what the future holds for their musical careers, they feel much more comfortable about knowing where they stand and see a clear path to getting what they want. Have your students take the SASR today for free and see what the future of sight reading practice and assessment looks like. Visit www.sightreadingtest.com for more information.
So we have some big announcements today. First announcement is that Piano Marvel now works on acoustic pianos, and I spent about an hour this morning testing both on my Android phone and my iOS tablet. I'll tell you about that experience, but that brings us to this announcement. Piano Marvel now works on both Android and iOS. Maybe the biggest announcement of all, as of July 28th, 2026, that the SASR is now free as of today. This morning, it just went free. So one of the things we're trying to do is remove friction. We are now available on every major platform from Mac to Windows to Android tablets, iOS, iPads, as well as smartphones and also Chromebooks. It is available on every instrument now. It's only available on acoustic pianos currently on Android and iOS, not on Mac or on Windows or on Chromebook. However, it's being worked on, and we expect sometime this fall that it should be available on every platform. Now you can, whether you're teaching a private lesson, whether you teach in public schools, or whether you teach at a university, you can now use the Sasser for free with all of your students. So there is no reason now that you can't use the Sasser. I have made a PDF that I will send to you in an email, but I will also link it in the description of the YouTube video, so you can have access to how to go ahead and get set up, whether you're setting up a lab or just one single piano. Also, I'll have some other things in that PDF for you. As far as teaching sight reading, there are really only two concepts that you teach. Number one is pitch, and number two is rhythm. Between these two things, there's nothing else you need to teach in sight reading. The pitch tells you what to play, rhythm tells you when to play it, and horizontally, you have the rhythm, which tells you in time when to play, and vertically tells you what your pitch is. So when you look at this note on this vertically, this just tells you what pitch to play. And on a keyboard, it's exceptionally easy. Every note has a specific place that it lives on. And so when you go across the entire grand staff, you can see there's not that many notes to learn. Very simple concept. Rhythm is maybe a little more tricky. There's a little more variety in time signatures and rhythmic values, but that makes Western music notation one of the most easy languages to teach. Music is a universal language. Every country now has adopted this the Western music notation, and it makes it the easiest one to teach, therefore the easiest to decode. And there you have it. So it's obviously not as easy to teach or to learn to become proficient, but the concept's easy. What is the key to helping students improve their sight reading? Is it not looking at their hands? Is it teaching them note identification? Is it teaching rhythmic identification? Is it teaching pattern recognition, or hearing the song in your head, or just reading a lot, or is it just reading ahead? I would argue that all of these are essential in teaching good sight reading, and none of them can be done very easily. And I think the key to everything, which is what we're going to talk about today, is none of them, but instead it is motivation. Why would they want to learn to read? Currently, we are experiencing in our country, in the US, a big decline in music literacy ever since the 1960s. Music literacy has been declining. We've been noticing it at universities. The smaller universities have less piano students coming in. The larger universities don't see that yet, but as time goes on, they're beginning to see that the quality of the performances and their ability to read music is actually starting to decline. And I think this is a cyclical behavior that's going to continue to happen. I think it's something we should all be alarmed with. And it all comes down to this motivation. And society and peer pressure is probably the biggest key to motivation. Why are students not as motivated to learn to play the piano as they used to be? A lot of it has to do with society. People are doing different things. They're not as interested. Why? Because their peers are not. And as soon as their peers stop doing it, less people are going to want to do it. So I think this is going to become the root of our issue. I know lots of piano teachers that I talk to are also always complaining about sports, and their students have to play sports 3 hours a day if they're going to stay on the team. I had a student come in and say, my coach just told me I need to quit piano or quit volleyball. That made me really mad because it felt to me like the coach thinks that this student's life should all have just one simple thing, like they can't expand to music. And every teacher has seen that in some form or another where they're competing with sports. And it's becoming quite a problem. Well, it all comes down to society and peer pressure. What can we do about it? I put out this form for you guys, this survey for you guys to fill out because I wanted to see how, what you guys thought about the current state of our music literacy. What percentage of the population do you think can identify this note? And it was interesting to see that most people, 48% of you, said that 10 to 50% of the population here in the United States could identify this note. And 41, almost 42% of you said 0 to 10%. And almost 10% of you felt like 50 to 100%. I thought this would be a really interesting survey. So as I was traveling, I was at a hotel yesterday, and I thought, I'm going to ask just 4 people if they know this note. And I just showed this note to them on the phone. I said, can you identify this note? All 4 of them said no. One of them said, I don't read music. So at least they noticed it was music. I think it's lower than we think it is in the general publication. In the general public, we tend to see people in our circle, and we don't see people outside of that circle. But I think that circle is quite small. I asked, what percent of the population in the US do you think can read this song at sight? And the survey amongst you guys said 66% said less than 10% of our population could read it. But 31% of you said between 10 and 50%. I'm actually in this 0 to 10%. I think it's closer to about 3% of the population could actually read it after talking to some people. We haven't done an official survey. What percent of the population do you think could actually read this? 92% say less than 10%. I agree with that one. In your opinion, should society provide Western music literacy education for its citizens in public schools? I was actually kind of surprised, but the vast majority of you think that we should be teaching music literacy in the public schools. I am actually a very big advocate of that as well. This one says, would you be interested in seeing the results of an official music survey? So if we were to survey, say, 100,000 people and find out how literate they are in music, I think I'm with the 95% of you. Yes, I'd be interested to see just how catastrophic this is. I suspect it's catastrophic. Maybe it's not as bad as I think. Would you be interested in seeing how music literacy in the US compares to other countries? 95% of you said yes, you'd be interested in seeing that. I will be traveling to about 7 different countries this next month and be working with some of the world's leading influencers in music education. So I will be probably heading up a survey that is of a massive scale and sharing it with everybody when we complete this. And do you think sight reading should be an important part of piano lessons? 98% of you said yes. But this group, I understand, you signed up for a sight reading webinar, which meant you are interested in sight reading. So I would expect that that most of you would say yes. I have invited Brad Beckman here because we're doing he's heading up a study for the MTNA that should be published in the e-journal, the AMT e-journal, the MTNA e-journal, sorry. And I thought I would give him just a few moments to talk. Brad, are you available?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, let me stop sharing my screen and we'll spotlight you so people can see you. Go ahead. Tell us a little
Well,
bit about this study that you're doing. What's the scope of it? What's the point of it?
well, thank you for inviting me today. First, I think I would like to say, first of all, what this study is not, as well as what it is, and that is our study is not about whether or not piano marble works. It's much broader than that. We want to know why do some musicians become better sight readers than others, and how can we measure that growth over time? So piano marble provides a standardized way to collect that performance data, but the scholarly focus is on sight reading development primarily. And really, what's kind of unique about this study with piano marble is that many of the sight reading studies that we've looked at tend to focus on small samples, a single studio or one class or a small number of students involved. And we have already amassed as many as 50 institutions that are going to be participating in this national research study. And that those schools vary in size and programs and numbers of students, and this could potentially be 500 to 1,000 maybe more people involved in data collection on their sight reading ability. So it's a very unique study in that respect alone. Um, but we're interested in the growth of their sight reading ability, not just their scores. We're not just saying, who sight reads well, but we're interested to know how students improve over a semester and what factors appear to be associated with that improvement. Um, and of course, this is for the benefit of teachers, and both studio teachers as well as institutional uh, programs. Um, Ultimately, we hope that this helps teachers make better instructional decisions about sight reading. If we can identify patterns associated with stronger sight reading development, those findings can inform studio teaching, group piano instruction, and curriculum design. Um, and this is part of an ongoing research project, actually. I think it was it 2 years ago, Aaron? I think we did a sort of a pilot project at UNT where we studied students' sight reading scores with the Sasser over a period of 2 semesters at UNT. And it was very interesting and revealing. And so we thought this would be great to do on a national level. And I'm seeing that this type of project is not just going to be a one-time thing. It's probably going to lead to much more sophisticated studies after we finish this one. So that's my thought, that it's going to be a long-term process, and we're going to probably learn quite a bit from doing it. So the standardized platform is really what is making the difference, though, in this study. I mean, if we think about how we've evaluated sight reading, as your video shows, um, everybody who's listening to their students sight read is doing it from their own experience, from their own perspective, and nothing wrong with that. Teachers are very experienced; they have training, they have all kinds of expertise. But if you're talking about evaluating 500 to 1,000 students with X number of teachers, that gets to be quite variable in terms of how the grading would go, even if there's a standard rubric of some kind. So the fact that the Sasser is really grading everyone in virtually the same way is a tremendous plus for our research study. And it's going to be incredibly revealing to see how that progress takes shape.
Thank you, Brad. Can any university join in this study if they're not in already?
I believe so. Yes, I think they just need to contact Aaron, and he can uh, prepare you for the study and get you started. The study is planning to start this fall, so we do need to be ready to start the fall semester. We'll probably conclude it at the end of the fall semester, and then, of course, there's going to be a period of time for data analysis and everything. We're planning that for second semester. So I would say yes, if you're interested, please contact Aaron.
And what do they
And
need to do? I mean,
I,
what does it entail? Because you have 600 students that you're testing. Is it hard to put together? Is it labor intensive?
well, I would say 2 years ago it was harder than it is now. I mean, it's progressively becoming easier, and you just announced today free Piano Marvel membership, and the fact that you're moving towards using acoustic pianos. That's an incredible achievement. Um, as it stands now, we're probably looking at it in institutionalized ways. Um, People are doing this in group piano classes and in keyboard skills curriculums and things like that. So students are probably on digital keyboards. Um, it is relatively simple to hook up the keyboard to the computer via a MIDI cable and in some cases an audio cable. So it's maybe a small investment of equipment in terms of what you already have if you have a digital keyboard lab. Um, and of
What
course
about
now
computers? Do you have to have computers?
you have to have a computer. You can have an iPad. I actually even have had students use a phone. Um,
But
and
they bring in their own device. You don't,
they
like the
bring in
school
their
does
own
not
device.
provide it. So you
Right,
provide the
right,
cable, they set their device in, they plug it in, and then they take the Sasser
exactly.
test, and they do that a minimum of once a week.
Right, and you can do it more than that if you want. I personally have tried to get in once a week so that it can be integrated into our current curriculum without us having to displace too many things. We can kind of weave it in to the curriculum that we already have. And, I mean, this is a generation that enjoys gamifying things. And when they can sit down and sight read with their classmates and compare scores, they get a kick out of that. And at the same time, they're getting better at sight reading. Um, because I mean, we don't need a research study to tell us that the more you practice sight reading, the better you get. We
Right.
already know that. So the fact that we can just get students focusing on sight reading on a regular basis is already a huge step in the right direction. So.
Yeah. And I think I like one of the things that you implemented. You said that you have 15 weeks in your course. They take the Sasser test each week and they get 1 point per week. So 15% of their grade is sight reading. If they don't take it
Yes.
that week, then they just lose their percentage, that 1 percentage point for sight
Right.
reading.
Right. And it's, that's worked out fairly well. I mean, and uh, it does mean that you have to have teachers that stay on top of that. And my teachers are adjusting to that, and they're starting to. For them, it's good teacher training because technology is going to be part of the landscape wherever they're teaching, and I think it's already happening in the teaching studios as well. It's not just in colleges and universities. So I'm thrilled to see that my teachers are getting experience teaching with this kind of software. And yeah, the students have a commitment to practicing, and it's part of their grade.
Fantastic. So yeah, reach out to me if you if you want to be part of that, Aaron Garner at pianomarble.com or contact us at pianomarble.com. I'd be happy to get you started in the study. And really all you have to do is just have your students take the Sasser once a week. It's super, super easy. That PDF that I gave you will have the instructions how to do that, how to connect it, super, super easy. So I even give you links to cables that I recommend, so you don't have to, go shopping around for cables that are good. I've got that already done for you. Why did we make the standard assessment of sight reading free? Ultimately, my goal is to improve literacy among the entire world. I think in my life personally, I was a very, very poor sight reader. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be a neurologist, but I decided to go into piano, and I was just a really bad sight reader. So I always hid the fact that I couldn't read well. And finally, I learned just some tips on how to get better and was practicing a little more efficiently. And it just made my life personally so much more fulfilling. It's so much fun to sit down and just read. So much fun. And I was missing that. And people don't even know what they're missing when they don't have it. So I want to give that gift to the world, but I understand that it will take an enormous amount of effort to convince the world that it's valuable. It's as valuable as science. It's as valuable as mathematics. And right now, the world doesn't believe it. It thinks that science is more important than math. One of the reasons why it believes that is because you can assess mathematics. Every year they show their school's results. Our school ranks in the top 10% of the nation in their math scores. And they put money towards what can be assessed. I was told what gets assessed gets funded. And how do you assess the arts? It's a very hard thing. That doesn't mean it's not valuable. In fact, there have been studies that show that the human brain is more impacted by the study of music than any other thing. I believe it. I've seen it. I went to a thing at the middle school, and all these kids lined up who had straight A's, and I was looking at it and like, that's a piano student. That's a piano student. Like 11 of the 14 were piano students. And I thought either one of two things happens here. Either piano is making you smart, or only the smartest kids can survive piano. I don't know which one is true, but they have done studies that show that the corpus callosum that connects the two hemispheres of the brain, that pathway there, is actually enlarged when you study piano in particular, because there's so much coordination between the two hands and individual fingers that it just enforces so much growth, and the ability to do other things like math and science is actually enhanced by music, probably more than any other thing. I think the only way to get society to believe that is to flood the internet with these studies like that Brad Beckman's putting together. Just flood the internet with it and the importance of it, and make people want to read. It has to do with motivation. Back in the 60s, society told parents that to be a good parent, you needed to put your kids in music lessons. And we had just tons and tons of lessons. And then later on, society changed. And they started saying, well, I'm not going to, some of my kids are not interested in music. They're interested in something else. That's like telling your kid they're not interested in math. You don't have to do math because you're not interested in that as much. You can do football. That's just not very smart. But society did change. And now we're to the point where parents will say, if you're not going to practice, I'm not going to pay for your lessons. Not all parents are like that, but surprisingly, more and more parents are taking that stand. And as soon as they understand how big of an impact it has on their life, and the fulfillment of their life, they will instantly say, okay, sign my kid up. But they don't see it because we haven't flooded the internet with its importance. That's something that every one of us here can do. You would talk about why piano is so important and the study of music is so important. It's going to take all of us to be able to convince them. I also think that studies are an exceptional part of shaping culture. I want to put together a study that shows what our current music literacy rate is, and then with everybody here, help come up with a plan that implements tactics that helps improve the music literacy rate. In order to do that, I believe we're going to have a yearly study that shows that increase. And so that's one of the things that we are going to set out to do, is create a survey and make it so that it can be easily implemented across a very large number of people. So it's a very, very good study. So that's one of the things that we're going to do. What you can do currently is just talk to your students, have them sight read every single lesson, have them take the Sasser, track their growth over the semester, and give them a pat on the back for improving. So you can also innovate. I want to show you some innovations that may help you as you're going about teaching your students to sight read better. So I noticed some of my students had some difficulties with just recognizing their notes. If you can't recognize your notes and very quickly, you won't be able to read. If you can't recognize rhythms, you won't be able to read, but you just have to know your notes. And so I've created this Note Ninja. It took me only 8 hours because you can upload your content onto Piano Marble. Anything you want to upload, you can put it into Piano Marble in the upload section, and then you can test it on your students. Well, I did this one where I said, okay, level 1, I want them to learn these notes inside and out. Then when we went to level 2, I just kind of made it like a game that will expand to this section of the grand staff. Level 3, go all the way down below and above the staff. And then level 4, go down to these 3 ledger lines outside of the staff. And I figure if my students can do that, that alone will improve their reading. So level 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's gamified. And I made this available to everybody after testing it out on my students. You can try this Note Ninja. It is also free in the in the Piano Marble library. Scale Ninja is another one. If people use their scales, learn their scales, they will improve on their reading. Scale Ninja is also free. And then one of the teachers, she had told me, hey, I know you came up with Scale Ninja. I uploaded some scale exercises. Don't want to be bashing on you, but they're 10 times better than yours. I was not offended at all. I was excited because I think it's going to take innovators like just regular teachers who have ideas, upload them, test them on students, and then share them. And so this teacher, I told him, let me take a look at it, and we can share that with the world as long as it doesn't violate any copyright rules. And so somebody else put together another thing, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5 in this thing that they're calling rhythm levels. Just systematically training people to become better at rhythms. I haven't actually tried this, but I am going to do this myself first, and then I will probably send some of my students through this and just see if it improves their sight reading scores. And it's also locked. It's a video game. So you pass stage 1, you go to 1.1 through 1.4. So it's well put together. I'm excited to try it. These challenges are one of the best sight reading tools. We have people who read over 1,000 songs in a month just doing these challenges because they're fun, they're engaging. You can see who's doing it across the world and how they're ranked on a leaderboard. I'll show you how to get to those. Let's talk about using Piano Marvel with an acoustic piano. I want to show you how I do it on my Android phone. So Android phone is brand new, and microphone assessment just got released last month. But I'm going to go into the Piano Marvel app. Now, if you have a small device, people will think, well, that's a terrible reading experience. But I took the test twice on it this morning, and it was actually quite amazing. I'm going to hit Start Test, and then it allows me to choose intermediate, advanced, beginning, professional. I can't do professional yet. That's outside of my ability. But if I hit intermediate, then it'll give me a song. And on a phone, it scrolls sideways, which, oh, do you have a piano or a keyboard? I do. And then there's this beta right now for the microphone, or you can do self-assessment. This one is kind of cool because you can kind of decide for yourself if you read well. But the microphone assessment's the one I've been working on. The MIDI, if you have a piano skin, you can just plug in, or a digital piano. That's perfect assessment. How does the microphone work on Android? All right, let's go ahead and do this first song. So I did notice that some of the new Android app on beta is missing some of the notes. When it gets into 2 and 3 notes, it has a little harder of time. It's surprisingly fun to take, though, and my score on the Android now is about it's about 100 points lower than it should be. Now let me show you on the iPad the difference here. So the iPad's a little further ahead, and the Android, of course, the iOS phones too. This will give you a chance to see what it looks like on an iPad. I'll go to my sight reading. I'll go start the test. I'll say intermediate. And it says, do you have a piano or a keyboard? I'll say, yes, I do. And I want to use the beta microphone assessment. We'll hit continue and finish. One of the things I like with this is just turning it sideways. Whoops. And you can read your music bigger. I can hit this plus button and this minus button now. This is a new thing. That's very cool. It makes it easier to read. Really fun. Let's see how this one does. Set, go. Okay, so what we've done here is it didn't recognize the note there, but it heard something and said, we're going to gift this to you. And we can set these a little higher or lower, but I completely missed this section here, so it caught what I missed. But it still gave me a 99%. I feel like the iPad needs to, like some of these gifted notes, we need to bring back that a little bit. I feel like this is giving you too much credit, and this one's not giving you enough credit. So we have a new version of the iOS app coming out very soon. And also, I heard next week we're going to get gifted notes on the Android. So I suspect the Android might even overtake the iPad, or they might both come out at the same time. We're looking at next week. So very cool stuff. If I want to plug this in, I happen to have a piano scan on this piano, but it also has so I can just plug this into my USB. And now I'll have perfect assessment. And you can see it's plugged in. You can also do MIDI with piano scans. They just have a Bluetooth, so there's no connection at all, and then it'll have a perfect assessment with that. So if you get a piano scan, highly recommend it. Piano scan is an amazing device that will take your acoustic piano and digitize it so you have a perfect feedback. I know I said you can do Piano Marvel and the Sasser on your acoustic piano. By far, if you have a piano scan or a digital piano, it will have a perfect assessment. If you are interested in a piano scan, this is a great time to get it with this 50% off. Just fill out the form. You can get it with this QR code or in the description below. You can customize your own songs in Piano Marvel. I will give you a document that shows you exactly how to do that. Very, very cool. Does anybody have a question right now?
I have a question.
Yes, let's go ahead and hear it.
Yes, hi, this is Eileen. I wanted to ask if the study that you are doing only for college students, or are they open also to younger students?
Dr. Beckman, you want to answer that?
Well, this current study is focusing on college or university group piano curriculums. So this study, yes, is focused mostly on colleges and universities. But I can imagine that we are leading in that direction as well as having future studies that would include, studio teachers and private teaching as well.
Yeah, so not right now, but yes, and you can always do your own studies. In fact, we do have some multiple teachers doing their own studies and gathering statistics through the Piano Marvel tools. That does allow it. I had somebody said, "Is the metronome always on?" The answer to that is you have control over the metronome, how loud it is, or if it's off or turned on. You can do that. You can also turn the blue cursor on and off. You have lots of controls with audio. A question here is, how beginning is the beginning level? That's a good question. You're going to have to go into the beginning and look at it. I will just say it's like middle C with quarter notes and half notes and whole notes. It's exceptionally easy. Any kindergartner could start at level 1. And as far as the difficulty level, we have the world's top sight readers who are scoring in the 1800s. And it is a blast to watch just some of the world best readers read with Piano Marvel. It's super, super fun. Are you planning to keep the assessment and other features listed today free, or is this a temporary promotion? That is a fantastic question. The answer to that is, we have worked very hard to build this up so that we can finally make it free forever. So yes, our plan is this will be free forever. Our ultimate goal is to improve music literacy, not to make money. So we want the world to read music. That's our passion. Oh, so if somebody misunderstood that, I was not using the piano scan when I was showing you my test today. So you can use the microphone assessment now instead of using a piano scan. The difference is the piano scan will give you perfect assessment like a digital piano will. And if you want perfect assessment, then get a piano scan. I will say it's really amazing. I love the piano scan. But you should do it with your acoustic piano and see how you like it. It will be getting better. Next week we have an upgrade coming out, so keep that in mind as well. Sheila Litke says, does the PDF show us how to sign up for the free Sasser? Yes, it does. Cassie said, this is Dixie, so the only way the acoustic piano works is if it has a piano scan. No, we answered that question already. It works with the microphone now. Deborah's not very tech savvy. How challenging is it to connect to a digital keyboard? It is as easy as plugging in a cable from your piano into your device, it's done. It's like very simple. And I have that PDF that will show you exactly how to do it in a video. How would the Sasser work for assessing students in an online piano studio? I don't know if Cami is in on this call. Cami, are you here? Cami does almost strictly online teaching now and uses it exceptionally well. It works very, very well with online piano studies. Will out students be able to assess this at their homes? Absolutely. So they don't have to do it just at their in your studio. In fact, the best thing you can do for students is encourage them to practice at home. And so as they're practicing at home, all of the data will be filled in for you. And so you can see if the students practiced today and how much time they practiced and what they practiced. So you will be able to track all their home practice. Yes, interval recognition. That, I believe, is going to be developed more and more by piano teachers because you can upload all your music and all your excerpts and everything into Piano Marvel, your tests, and we've created, this is an app for professional piano teachers. If you don't want to upload stuff, then just use what other people have created. If you want to upload your own stuff and experiment and help and bless the world with your innovations, that's why we built these tools. So can you scroll or see the whole score page at once? Actually, yes. You can see the whole page. One of the biggest challenges to reading from a screen is the size of the screen. Like a book, you can have 2 pages. We're actually doing some really cool innovations this year that will allow you to read more and more of the sheet music. Right now you can zoom out. I showed you that little zoom out button so you can see more. You can turn it sideways and see more from like a page layout. Or on a computer, you'll be able to see a 2-page layout probably before next year. Great questions on that. Kevin, how high a level, how difficult does sight reading get? Let's just say it gets higher than you can go. Yeah, in fact, only 2 people have broken the test that I've seen. It gets very, very difficult. And we're accommodating that by making it even more difficult on that high-end level. By piano scan, are you referring to QRS technology product? Yes, we are. How would Sasser work for assessing students in an online studio? Same question, great. Is the 3 Sasser tests for a free account play unlimited tests? The 3 Sasser tests have now gone away. You now have unlimited Sasser testing. Yeah, we have to change some of that verbiage on the website. Good catch. Where's the PDF? I have not sent you the PDF yet. I will be emailing it to you, and it will also be in the video. Deborah says, I've never used Piano Marvel before. Is this sight reading program one of the main things offered on Piano Marvel, or is it just sight reading? Piano Marvel is a ginormous program that does a bajillion things. Some people are attracted to just the sight reading portion of it, but it does so much more. I won't get into what it does today, but as you start experimenting with it, you will be shocked at what it can do. Can it be used with other instruments? Ooh, I don't know. Are we ready to announce that today? Okay, I can't help myself. Yes, we are building a Sasser for all instruments. I don't know how long it'll take, but we've already begun with saxophone, trumpet, flute, and voice. It will be spread across, and violin. It will be spread across all the instruments, so music literacy can be, so it can be a test for every instrument. And I happen to be a pianist, and so that's where we start. In my world, piano is the best instrument. And I think we have a bunch of piano teachers here, so we can all agree. All right. Was there any other questions, or did we get to everybody? I found that students are often told by the piano teachers to listen to the composition on a CD. This means that they do not necessarily need to read the music. Well, I think that's up to the teacher. So Piano Marvel is just a tool, and you can use it however you want. We encourage you to use it in ways that you think will improve sight reading the best. Great question, though. All right. Any other questions? Oh, yes. There are many tools. Somebody asked, are all the tools free in Piano Marvel? No, they're not all free. You can use the group play features. You can use, there's probably only like 2,000 free songs in Piano Marvel. But we have contracts with Hal Leonard, Alfred, and 20 other publishers that have content that's paid content that you can access. And the chopping and mincing of songs, which is, I think, the biggest innovation of Piano Marvel. You uploading your content in, chopping it into learning pieces, or uploading videos that teach your students. You can do all of that. It's not all free. Much of it is. Experiment with the free stuff, and then as you get more and more trained, you will probably eventually want to get some of these other tools as well. But sometimes it takes time, and you just get your feet wet at first and just use the free stuff. Great questions. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end this and send you guys, I will email you and put a link into all the resources into the description of this video so you have it all. I've enjoyed this. I'm super, super excited. Thank you for helping and for being advocates of music literacy. I hope that we have a fantastic year, that we can get this survey started and we can start tracking music literacy and watch it just go through the roof. Eventually, I want to see 80 to 100% music literacy rates across the world. I think it's possible. And with your help, we can do it. We'll talk to you later. Thank you.